Welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Chris. I run a small 3D printing business in my basement, and today we're just going to have a chat session between you and I. I've got to clean up my shop a little bit, do a couple administrative things, and then I've got some Q&A, and I want to give you an outline for what my plan is in 2025, what the channel is going to be doing, and what goals I have for my business. Let's get going. Something I think is important to share is kind of the whole purpose behind this YouTube channel. Back in November when I launched my first video, I had no expectations, and I've been blown away by how this has morphed into something much bigger than what I started. But that being said, my whole purpose is the business, right? I'm trying to build a YouTube series that gives you the insight I wish I had when I was struggling to learn these things 5 or 8 years ago. So this is really supposed to be the insight on the day-to-day, the life of an entrepreneur, the struggles, the wins, and also understanding that sometimes it takes a community, right? Because I'm not gonna lie, the feedback you guys give me in the comments gives me a lot of inspiration and good ideas on things I can do in the business to make things work. So long-term goal is I want to have a freestanding business that can operate on its own and be successful. And YouTube is going to be that little looking glass for all of you to follow along and watch the progress of that. So if that's something you're interested in, I'm glad to have you here, and thanks for tuning in. Going forward, I've got different expectations going into this year. So from now on forward, until maybe things change, depending on my schedule, I'll be uploading 2 videos a week, one kind of in the middle of the week and one on the weekends. One of those will just be kind of a chat session between you and I. I'll be packing orders, kind of just doing things around the shop, Q&A. And then the other video is going to be on a specific topic. So if you do think of topics, along the way, drop those in the comments, because that's where I'll be pulling that from to come up with ideas to make sure that that content is actually serving some purpose for you guys when I put it out. Goals-wise on the business side is I've got 2. My lofty goal is to make this my career. I'd love to be able to do this full-time and support my family with that. And when I say full-time, I mean like run a 3D printing business. YouTube is kind of me sharing my experience with you guys. And then I think the more achievable goal, which I also have, is I'd like to be averaging 10 sales per day by the end of the year. So going into 2026, I've got the right foot out front and I can start off strong. Alrighty, I'm gonna start cleaning my shop, but as we do this, we're gonna answer some questions. First thing, I just wanna mention, my last video about Etsy ads, it was really not meant to drive people away from Etsy ads. It was to equip you with the knowledge to run Etsy ads. And I think if you approach them with a more vigilant mindset and understanding that there's a lot of work involved to run them, you definitely can make a profit, but it just takes some upkeep. And not every product's gonna work either, because if you have a product that just is a bad product and people don't like it, or your listing doesn't have the right SEO or pictures or listing or anything like that, they might be clicking on the ad, but then not buying. So there's a lot of factors outside of what I discussed into why the ads might not be working. But at the same time, like to give you an example, the hoppers that I adjusted and featured in that video, their ROAS, so return on ad spend, which again is not the calculation you really want to be using, is 6.49 as of this month so far. And if I get 50% margin on that, which is roughly what I talked about in that video, that's still like over a 3x return on that product, which for me, that's pretty good. I like that. I can do that all day, and I hope I keep getting sales in at that rate. All right, first official question from Tony Kitching 5810 is, do you have a spreadsheet to calculate all the fees, etc., based on your selling price and make the cost of an item? Yes, I do. I'm maybe slightly embarrassed to share that with you all. I am by no means an Excel wizard, and in fact, some of you are going to cringe when I say this, but I use numbers because I don't have Excel on my Mac, and I know I could use Google Sheets, but I'd rather just have it like an actual piece of software on the device. Long story short, I'm using numbers. If I get enough feedback from all of you and you're interested in seeing that, I can walk you through what I have. Perhaps there's some changes that everyone would see and go, hey, Chris, you should do this differently. So if you are interested in that, in seeing that video, put some comments down below and we'll go through and maybe do a whole series on how I price my products. In the same vein of that, and I apologize for not knowing your name, but it was kind of a sassy comment, which I thought was funny, which is, why would anyone buy these for $25, which are my DeWalt battery charging brackets? And my response was, very few people. The reality is, to make this product with the amount of time it takes on the printer and the amount of hardware it has to go into it, it's just not viable to sell it for much less than like $22.50, which sounds crazy because some people on eBay and on Etsy and some other platforms are selling those things like a dime a dozen. They're like everywhere. They're super cheap. I don't know how they live with themselves, because the amount of intervention you'd have to have with a 3D printer to actually print out that amount of units and sell them for that cheap would be kind of miserable. So I can't imagine they're actually making all that much money, but I don't know their operations or how they have it set up. So try not to judge. What I will say is, going forward this year, when I design products, is I will be looking at the designs I take. So let's take this guy, for instance. I'm still working on this design, by the way. These typically, the spreadsheet I have prices what it should cost. Like if I were to put all my materials, time, and everything into this, it will tell me what I need to charge for it. I think my plan of action going forward is, if I can't sell this for enough money, because let's say the customer's like, I'd only pay $10 for that, but I can only sell it for $25 because that's at the point where it makes sense for me to physically make the product, then I'm going to make it an STL file and sell that on my website. I think that's probably the best option. So we'll have a mix of all of my non-commercially viable products become STL files where people can just download and print them at home. I think that's kind of the best of both worlds, actually, and I like that idea a lot better. Takes a lot of stress off of me as well, and then all the time I go into designing products isn't wasted, which is kind of cool. Next question, which I've had before, but I just want to bring it up again, is from Cap Medfrag. Why don't you share your Etsy listing link? It wasn't exactly worded that way, but the quick answer is Etsy, if you drive a bunch of traffic to their platform and then those don't actually turn into sales, it actually hurts your Etsy's shop performance, because Etsy goes, wow, you've driven a lot of people to your store, but nobody's buying. So the only conclusion they can come to is that your products are garbage. So they actually like hurts your performance, it hurts your ability to get your listings out there and share your products with people. So I've taken that down. The good news is I've got my Shopify store up. So if you are curious, I only have my 2 STL files, but I do have my Shopify link in the bio of my YouTube channel and all of the videos. I went back and updated those so you can pop on there. It's also got a list of all of my YouTube videos, and I'll be cross-posting there as well. That goes back into the next question a little bit, which we'll talk about, from Connor Kruger 3694. Can you do a video on search engine optimization? Now, search engine optimization is a really important marketing tool. And I think one other thing which I did not talk about in my Etsy ads video is marketing is an umbrella term for the 4 Ps, right? Product, place, price, and promotion. Most of what people talk about when they say marketing, they're actually talking about advertising. Now, the nice thing about search engine optimization and even videos like this is what I would consider organic, content-based marketing efforts, not advertising. The way you can kind of split those out in your brain is ads are when you spend money to put something in front of somebody. This, you guys are just watching because I posted it. So that's kind of the same thing in how you can think of listings. My listings on Etsy are all organic marketing because I've built the listing and Etsy thinks it's a relevant search for what people are doing. I'm rambling, but nonetheless, there is a difference. I would be willing to do a search engine optimization video if there's enough people who request it. Again, throw something in the comments if that would be of value to you. I will give you a forewarning that even in the digital marketing and advertising world, which I've worked in for the past 8 years, search engine optimization is its own complete animal. So like, I work at a company and have worked at other companies previously where there's an entire department just for search engine optimization. And within that department, you can specialize in a few different things, including copywriting is a big component of that. So let's just say it's my weakest link in all of the advertising and marketing experience I have, but I'd be more than happy to take a stab at it, as I need to learn a lot of that for myself and get better at it for my store. So just let me know if you're interested below. The next question is from Spear256, and they said, do you have issues with humidity being so close to some of my mechanicals in the basement and whatnot? My answer is really no. PLA is pretty forgiving material. I wouldn't worry about humidity unless like you live in a swamp. So I guess maybe Florida, but I'm up in Michigan, and during the winter we get so much snow, which is essentially rain, just cold rain, which means humidity is high, right? So when it's snowing, humidity is pretty high, and I don't have any issues with the printers. I do not dry my filament, but again, I only print with PLA, so I don't have a lot of experience with the other types of filaments you can buy. Well, thanks for sticking around today. I know it's a little bit different. Please let me know your feedback on this style of video. This is going to be kind of more my midweek video. Business updates, don't want to forget that, is I'm at 403 sales on Etsy. I've been averaging 2 orders just over a day since the beginning of this year, which is great because I know things typically slow down in January and February on Etsy. So if I can keep it up at 2 and grow from there, I'll be in a really good spot. Again, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to get some other prints started. I've got some orders to ship out tomorrow. I was going to do a bunch of order packing for you, but they had to go out this morning. So I actually did all that stuff early and got it to the post office. Either way, I really appreciate you all for being here, and I'll see you next time.